Hello there, welcome to Penarth Archery Club's YouTube channel. My name is Jeremy. This is another video in the series Archery The Basics, and it follows on from the previous three-part series of videos titled Buying Your First Bow. I hope that you have viewed those and our other videos on the channel. I wanted to put together some straightforward, simple videos to give some detail on the process and methods when working with our archery equipment. I will be doing one regarding the basic static setup of an Olympic recurve bow. That process would be taking the shopping list items that have been discussed in the previous videos, and when bought, putting them together ready for use. This video is about assembling the arrows, where the archer has bought the components rather than pre-made up arrows. Many new archers have little idea of what is involved. They can find out on the internet, but as there are dozens if not hundreds of videos about arrows in all sorts of forms, it's a matter of which ones to watch. So it's easier for them to pick up on one video. It may well show their arrows being assembled. When the equipment they have purchased arrives, its next stop is bringing it to me so that, as agreed, I can put it all together for them. Some want to know exactly how that happens, others are just happy someone does it for them. This video and others will fill in the blanks for them. They will likely be shooting aluminium arrows, most commonly Eastern XX75 or X7. It will usually have been decided on price, so probably Jazz XX75 or Platinum XX75 shafts. X7s being the more expensive shafts, so they're not really needed here. I will have given them the details to order the appropriate components, so that they will have bought a set number of shafts, usually cut to the required draw length that we have determined during the shooting sessions. They will have the number required and details of the nocks to be used, the insert points and size of fletchings, so only have to choose their colours. So the first part I normally do is to install the points. These are one-piece compatible bullet points of the right size for the shaft. They are glue-in points. So I'll ensure the inside of the cut shafts are clean, using isopropyl alcohol to clean them of any residue left when they were cut. I can cut the shafts to length if they were ordered as uncut shafts. They are stocked in set lengths that the manufacturer makes and need to be cut down. We use a specific hot melt glue for gluing the points in. It's a simple process where we hold the point over a flame while melting some of the glue onto the barrel of the point that will be inserted into the shaft. While the glue is melted, we fully insert the point into the shaft, making sure it is correctly seated. The shaft and point can then be set aside to cool down and set, and then we can remove the excess glue. The job is done and is not that technical. We just need to make sure we don't overheat the point and shaft. Once all the points are glued, we can move on to the next stage. The aluminium arrows have a bushing at the end of the shaft to take a standardized size plastic nock. These nocks have differing widths of slot or groove in them, which is where they clip onto the string serving. We will have made sure that the correct groove width has been selected based on the serving on the bowstring they have bought. These nocks are pushed into the shaft. They may need to be done so with a nock alignment tool, a plastic item to help you push them in and rotate them. Once they are fully seated, we're ready for the next stage. We will be fletching the arrows with some form of plastic vane for these newer archers, and it does require some more tools and items. You will need a fletching jig, which is a tool to hold an arrow shaft and securely fix vanes to it. You will need some form of fletching glue. I also use some wet and dry sandpaper and isopropyl alcohol. Fletching jigs come in various forms. At this level, and especially if the new archer intends having a go at fletching in the future, it needs to be a straightforward and simple jig. The particular jig I use pretty much fits the bill. There are others that are available. For glue, I use a super glue with or without an accelerator, depending on how I find the glue reacting to the vanes and shaft. A thin nozzle for application is useful. The wet and dry sandpaper is used to rough up a short section of the shaft where the vanes will be attached. Eastern coat their shafts with a finish almost like Teflon, to help with getting the arrows out of targets when shot into the bosses. This is fine, but they coat the entire shaft, so this doesn't help with adhesion of veins. Using a high grit wet and dry paper, say between 600 and 1200 grit, merely removes this coating at the rear of the shaft where we want to glue the veins. The isopropyl alcohol is used to clear off any residue. The nocks that have been inserted into the shafts have a small nub on them to help with the alignment of the nock and veins when fletched. We are fletching the arrows with veins set at 120-degree angles. Looking end on, they look like the fins of a shark, with a dorsal fin sticking up and two fins stuck out below. On a recurve bow, we need the cock vein, often a different colour, to be aligned with the nock slot, so that when clipped on the string, the cock vein points towards the archer, with the other two hen veins facing the bow. On a compound, the usual method is to have the veins rotated so that the cock vein is vertical when clipped on the string, with the other two veins facing the arrow shelf on the riser. I recently received 24 made-up arrows that had been fletched on compound setting, so I had to rotate all the nocks to correct recurve alignment, so something to look out for. The small nub on the nock helps to line up with the cock vein. So we need to ensure that when we start to use the fletching jig, that has been set up for the correct alignment. My jig has a sliding mechanism, clearly marked recurve or compound, which ensures the correct placement of the nock and vein. We also need to slightly offset the vein holder, so that when glued, the vein is not perfectly straight on the shaft, but a few degrees to the side. This encourages the veins to spin the arrow slightly in flight. Too much offset of the vein will create too much drag, so keep this to a minimum. There are adjustment screws and scales on the jig to help us with this. There's all sorts of advice regarding the plastic veins, particularly whether the base of the vein should be cleaned using isopropyl alcohol or not. Various manufacturers say they have a release agent still on the veins, so should be cleaned. Others that they have an accelerator on the bases, so do not need cleaning if used with a particular glue. I just clean the vein bases with the alcohol anyway and take it from there. I can always use an accelerator for the glue if I want. As for cleaning the bottom of the veins, I put a couple in the vein holder of the jig, being a big clip that is held by magnets on the jig, and use a cotton bud with alcohol to wipe the base and dry it on some paper towel. Once they've all been done and the shafts have been rubbed down, we can start to fletch. Put the shaft in the jig in the correct alignment. You will need to determine where the vein will be glued, how far from the nock the back of the vein will be. I usually work on a comfortable distance that allows the fingers to be clear of the veins when the arrow is nocked and fingers and tab face are around the string. The veins are then inserted into the clip at this distance. Using the super glue, I put even dabs of glue on the base, and then the vein holder is inserted into the jig. Using even pressure, make sure the vein sits flat against the shaft and leave it for a while to set. Then the vein clamp is removed and the end of the shaft holder is rotated, and the same process follows. Do the same for the third vein, and when completed, remove from the jig. I often put a dab of glue on the very front and rear of the vein where it meets the shaft. The process is then completed for the remaining arrows, paying attention to ensuring the correct colour vein is used as the cock vein and it is aligned with the nub on the nock of the arrow. The veins will set quickly with the super glue and the arrows are all set to go. Fletching arrows is a good way to get archers working on their kit. They can often borrow a jig and have a go on spare or old arrows. Once they're familiar with the process, they're able to look after their own arrows, help others who have yet to learn, and may well move on to putting spin wings or the like on their arrows. I'll probably put up a short video on cutting arrow shafts to size with an electric arrow cutter at some stage to round out this topic, but that's pretty much all the archer needs to know. The ins and outs of arrow spines and bow tuning is a topic for a separate video. As always, I hope you found this video and the information useful. It'd be appreciated if you could hit the like button, and if you wish to or haven't already, subscribe to the channel. So thanks for watching.